It must be a Monday, because I came here to chew bubble gum and kick butt, and I'm all out of bubble gum. But I did have time to put on makeup. Okay, so now that I've gotten that thing out of the way, clearly I won't quit my day job as a software engineer to be an actress. We're going to talk about the Hatch Digitizer software suite today. Hatch is not sponsoring this, okay? I've been using Hatch Embroidery since it first came out, probably 5-ish years ago, and then upgraded to Hatch 2, and now Hatch Embroidery 3 is out. I do have permission from the company to make little tutorial videos on their software. So to give you a bit of an overview, Hatch Embroidery is a software suite that allows you to digitize embroidery designs of your own for people who like to make bags, or even just like be able to decorate t-shirts, jeans, jackets, backpacks, etc. with embroidered embellishments. This application is really intuitive. I've used a number of different software suites in the past, most notably the Viking software suite, which reminds me of getting my teeth pulled in a Yanni concert. And the Hatch stuff is just so much more intuitive. I didn't feel like I needed a giant book to learn how to use it. It was very much like other art programs that I've used in the past that weren't Viking. But I love the software. This is what I use to digitize anything that you see that's embroidered in my streams on Twitch, or even here on YouTube when I do little videos, specifically the embroidery ASMR time-lapse videos. Yeah, we're gonna hop in. I'm gonna show you the basics in this video. It's just to give you an overview of the software, and then I'm gonna dig into other things like how to do really basic designs, like just to trace and make your own. There is auto digitization as well, but I'm not going to talk about that specifically because I really feel it's important for people to understand the basics of embroidery design first. Because sometimes, as good as an auto digitizer can be, sometimes it still isn't great, because the computer doesn't actually know if you're trying to put this on a hat, if it's going to be a dad cap, if it's a reinforced cap, if it's a snapback, if it's a beanie, t-shirt, jacket on denim or leather. There's so much that goes into it. So the purpose of these videos is going to be to teach you how to digitize in general, and then hopefully you can fly. So looking really quickly at their website, one of the things that I would suggest is that you go ahead and you sign up for a free trial. It's a very generous 30-day trial. And it's so worth it just to get an idea of the software. And if this is something that you are going to want to use in your day-to-day to add to your business, or even to just add to your enjoyment of bag making or sewing in general, at least for me, like, I know I'm coming from the perspective of someone who has a 10 needle embroidery machine. So, for me, it's a no-brainer to have digitizing software. For some, they might be wondering, why the heckadoodle would I put any kind of money into something like this if I have like a single needle or a combination machine? And the thing is, like, you can go and you can purchase designs from Etsy or, Patreon and other websites like that. But to make your own thing is really nice. And it doesn't have to look like, old pillows that were sitting in your grandmother's house smelling like mothballs. Ask me how I know that. So it has tons of features. I'm just scrolling down the website, honestly, while talking in the background, because what else would I be doing? But it's really neat because I can actually use a tablet and draw directly into the application. I don't technically do that, but I am going to just show you some of the basics of the app today so you can get a feel for it. And then in the next video, I'm going to dig into some specifics of actually making a little design by tracing something, you know, like the apple or basketball, and kind of going over the logic, as it were. Okay, so now that I've talked about the basics of the software, why I use it, the website, grabbing that 30-day trial, again, hashtag so not an ad. They are not paying me to do this, okay? I just really like the software. I also like Doritos. In case you can't tell, I got bingo arms again, ladies. How you doing? Anyway, now we're gonna hop right in. I'm gonna give you an overview of the software. Do not hesitate to ask questions in the comments. Seriously, welcome it. I do check comments. The only time I don't respond is if it's like, you wear too much makeup, or you keep your nails too short, or why did you cut your hair so short, darling? You know, stuff like that. I don't respond to that. But I do respond to questions about sewing and the software. Awesome. Now that the Adderall has kicked in, let's take a look at Hatch. So as soon as you open it up, the first thing you'll notice, which of course I'm not going to show that scene because that would be a great way to dox myself, is you do have a login. For anybody who's familiar with older software packages, you would actually see, like, you would have to put in like a USB key, like a fob, in order to access your software, which is an extremely old school way of handling things, like circa 2000. And thankfully, the embroidery industry is starting to move very far away from that, because it is extremely easy to lose those fobs, and dogs love to eat them. Children love to poop them out with Play-Doh. Bob's your uncle. Apologies if Bob is actually your uncle. I never understood that phrase. Anyway, so we're going to go ahead and get started. You just log in with your email and your password, and then it syncs you in. You can have a login similar to like Adobe products. You can log in more than one location, but you do have to make sure that you log out of one if you need to go to a third location. I personally have 3 computers. Don't ask. It's a problem. I do need an intervention. So I do have to log in and out as needed, but it's great because it does allow you to have, say, a laptop or your main PC here. Now I'm actually going to turn on clicking. Yay! Okay, so when I left click, you'll see yellow. It's a little light, but we'll see how this goes with this video. And if you don't think that it's easy enough to kind of visualize where I'm clicking, you know, you can let me know. So a left click is going to be in yellow and a right click is going to be blue. So we're going to go and we're just going to do new, and it will load up. And I will tell you, I do have a very beefy computer. One of the things I have always noticed with this software, regardless of how cool my computer happens to be at the time, is every once in a while, this panel over here, the sequence panel, boop, see, I left click, yellow, will kind of garble up, and the only way I can fix it is to restart the application. Not the computer, just the program. So just kill it with fire and reload it. So the way that I usually leave my, this is my workspace. You have your design library, which always comes up first. There we go. And it shows you like literally everything in your your library. English is my first language. You can see I have a lot of Haunted Mansion. I bought this off of Etsy. As much as I value my skill set, if somebody else has done it before me, I would like to reward them. So I did purchase that. Here's the potato cat. Potato cat. She's so cute. Dole Whip. You know, these are all things that I have actually digitized myself. And by the time you're done with this series, you're going to know how to do it too. It's going to be fantastic. We're going to have so much fun. So that's your design library. You can save things in EMB format. That is the Hatch format for saving the file with the history, the sequence of your design, as well as any other kind of metadata that's tied specifically to Hatch. It's kind of like a Photoshop file, like a PSD file. When you go to, make it so that you can actually use it on a machine, you can export it in all of the popular formats. Most of the machines these days take whatever format you throw at it. So it's really up to you. I tend to use the Brother formats since I am using a 10 needle Brother embroidery machine. And yeah, I mean, it's whatever format is best matched to your machine. But again, I think they all just kind of love each other now, kind of like JPEGs. We all love JPEGs. So if you go into a design, you'll have your top bar here, which is going to be your ribbon toolbar. It has a lot of little features, so you can grab the library, you can go back to the home page if you want. New, you can do new from. This is what we'll do in auto digitizing. And I will tell you that I do have Hatch Embroidery 3 Digitizer. There are cheaper options that do not have that. So if you don't need to auto digitize, then you don't really need to worry about that. And we're not going to touch this until later because, again, I want you to understand how to do embroidery. Because you'd think it'd be easy. It's not. So one thing you can do is you can insert a design, so an existing design, another EMB file or a PES file that's been exported, or you can insert artwork. So if I want, I can insert artwork into the layout here, and it'll allow me to trace it if I want to do that. There's save, export, transferring. You can actually transfer directly to some machines. Mine is a 1055X Brother, and so I can actually transfer it directly via USB and Wi-Fi if I want to do that. So that's pretty helpful. I personally don't do that. I'm kind of lazy. I take the hard way. Actually, that's not lazy. That's just like stuck in my ways, but I do the hard way. True View is very helpful if you want to see the design as if it were being stitched. So kind of like a 3D rendering view of the of the design. Otherwise, you can turn it off and you just see stitching. And that can be difficult, but sometimes you need to toggle them so that you can see what's going on. And then, you have your toggles. Another thing that's super helpful, and you can load up the hoops that go with your application here. You can select your brand. So I have a Brother and I have a multi-needle. And then it will load all of the hoops that I could possibly have. And one of the ones I tend to use a lot of is a 100 by 100. So yeah. And then you can say show hoop. And then it'll give you your boundary. So you will know where your safe space is for your brand of machine. This is super important. The worst thing you can do is if you have like an older machine or a less sophisticated machine that won't warn you if you go beyond the bounds, your needle will tear right through that hoop. I've done it. It is scary. So I actually live, eat, and breathe by having my hoop boundaries put in here just for me. The other thing is if you are like me and you like freedom units, you can use imperial, but if you prefer metric, you can swap it to metric. Another thing you can do is you can actually change the background. So you can change it to like here they have a lot of default items, so you can see what it's going to look like on the item itself. You can change it to a solid color. You can change it to a type of fabric. It's really neat to be able to do that. Also center. This will take your camera dead center, but I'm scrolling the mouse wheel out. The mouse wheel, if you zoom in, will zoom to where your mouse is located. So if you move your mouse around while you're zooming, it's gonna be a bad time. So I use the center button to kind of just get me right back to the middle so I can stop messing around and giving myself, a migraine. So over here, object properties, we're going to put an object down before I go through that. But the sequences panel here is really important. This is going to show you the order in which things are going to be stitched out. Starting at the top will be the first, second, third, etc., etc., etc. You can grab things and drag them to reorder them so that you're stitching things in a very specific order. You can try to organize things by color so you minimize your color changes. Sometimes it's unavoidable with the more complex designs, but it's all good. Then you have threads. You can load up your popular thread colors if you want. Now, this, being completely honest with you, you don't really have to be super exact with the colors that you're selecting and using, because ultimately somebody could choose whatever they want. It's just a guideline for what the color change is going to be, so it inserts a color stop into the design. So it automatically picks that up. Some older software, like the Viking software, you have to manually add a stop. You don't have to do that in Hatch. It just does it for you. Let's see what else. The design overview. So it's more of like a zoomed out, oh God, mistakes were made. I don't normally use this, which is why it's located where it is. So boop. So this will let you see kind of the design, so you can kind of move around and move it. I guess you could compare this to the preview window if you were in Photoshop. Now, how do I get that back over here? Oh my God. Okay. Where'd it go? Do it. Okay. See, I'm a professional and I leave that stuff in here so you all know how dumb I really am. All right. So you can see down here along the bottom that you have all these different colors. This is just like a working color palette. You do not have to stick to this. If you want to change one of these colors, you just click on it and go to threads and change the color. And well, I didn't change anything like super cool, but you can see it's darkening and it's changing to what it was. So you can use that to kind of build a palette if you want. I've never really felt the need to do that. If I want a color, usually the one I want is down there. And if not, I go find it in the handy dandy threads panel. Over here in the toolboxes is going to be the next important thing. So you're going to have, a number of different tools that are in here. Oh God, please load. So that took me right to the design library, which is fine. This is mostly the same kinds of stuff you're going to find up at the top here. So we'll close that. You can customize your design. Oh, see, it's a little sluggish even on my computer, but it might also be because I'm recording. So we'll just take that with a grain of salt. So here you can do auto fabric. So this is actually a really important feature, something that, again, this is just an introductory video I will touch on in the future. If you're going to stitch on a knit fabric versus something lightweight like a quilting cotton, for example, you may want to use auto fabric because that will automatically dial in your pull compensation and other like stitch length settings and densities that will definitely matter. For example, if I stitch onto vinyl when I do my bags, I set it to leather for the auto fabric because I don't want it to be as dense as it would need to be for, say, waterproof canvas, right? Because it's going to be a thicker fabric, and it will also perforate the mess out of it. So you don't want to do that. So that's also really helpful, which again, we will touch on later, much, much later. Okay. Lettering and monogramming. Yes, it has it. The other beautiful thing about this, so we'll do awesome. So we'll put awesome in there. It automatically comes with a bunch of fonts that are great. Look, Shark Coochie. It's got Shark Coochie in there. Love it. That's for everybody in the room listening right now who is completely incapable of pronouncing charcuterie. Oh my God, this one's new. Croissant. Look at it, it's so fancy. And then, of course, yeah, if you want to be like Henry VIII, then we're going to use that one. All right, okay, so we'll just, drop that. I'm gonna keep going. So there's tons of fonts that are built in, as you can tell. But the other fun thing, if I can get past it, if you have a font installed on your computer, it will automatically be able to use it. That is extremely cool. So let's see. I want to find a good one. Where's a real good one I've got? Okay, here. This is one that I used for my stream because we had a vampire kick going on for a while and we were all playing a vampire game together. And so I got blah, blah, blah kind of fonts. And I mean, it's not the best. I would still go and probably hunt down a really decent font, or worse, just go ahead and digitize the word awesome myself from like a Photoshop export of this. But it's not too bad. So if you're looking for something, to get you kind of started, then it's actually a really cool feature to be able to use your base fonts that are installed on Windows or Mac. I apologize. This also does run on Mac for anybody who is still using that. See, that one actually looks really pretty. It's French script. Well, now I'm just going to sit here for like an hour and do this. Sorry. Look at the blood drips. Alrighty then. You guys are going to start thinking I'm weirder than normal. All right, so we'll drag that down there. Monogramming, of course, everybody loves giving grandma towels for Christmas. So we'll do that. Unfortunately, I don't like my initials, so we don't use that. We don't, no. So artwork. Here's the thing that I like to actually use. I will go and I will click on that and I will do insert artwork. Hold on. I'm going to pull this off the screen real quick just to make sure I don't have anything weird, because you never know. Waiting music. Boop, boop, ba-doop, boop. Boop, boop, ba-doop, boop. Doo-doot. I'm trying to find something and it's like, I don't know. Well, here. Yeah, okay, here. I'll just bring Cotton Smiles' clown in here. So it inserted his PNG file. This is a huge PNG file. Sometimes I have to click on select and go back and then resize. It does remain scale. So we're gonna just pull that down until it fits in there. You see, these little corners might be a little difficult to see depending on how you're watching this video. So just so you know, they're in the corners if you want to scale, or you can not do a fixed scale and grab from the middle of each. So here and here and here and here. But I dragged in this artwork. And so this is going to allow me to start tracing over that artwork and make that design. It is really cool to be able to do that. So if a client sends you an image of their logo or something that they want to have digitized for embroidery to jackets or shirts or something, then this is how you would do that. You would bring their artwork into the application and you would be able to start working with it. But that, again, that's for like a later time. And of course, a much simpler image. We're not going to go like completely bonkers today. Oh, one of the things, hold on. Boop. One of the things I meant to tell you, select the artwork and do dim. Otherwise, it's extremely bright and very difficult to use. But if you don't want to dim it, and let's say this green, we're going to select this green here. We want to pick this, boop, and try to find the closest match. Now, it actually, I don't know if it did find the right match, because I have something called Microsoft Power Toys on to show you the left click and the right click. So it's actually picking the color of the, whoops. Well, that's fine then. It's fine. It was a good idea. So, dim your artwork. Auto digitize, we're not touching with a 10-foot pole. Edit objects, I will come back to edit objects because we don't actually have an object on there apart from this. So we're going to get rid of the text, and I'm going to go ahead and just click to select and then delete with the delete key. And we're just going to put a circle in here. Whee! And it starts from the center. I should have remembered that. Now, when you let go of the mouse, it's going to let you continue to adjust. So you click once, and then it does this. So, whee! Look at me. I'm cool. Boop. And then you can rotate and hit enter. There we go. I was like, what? Sorry. Hit enter. And there you go. And you have that. That's very bright. So I'm going to change it to something a little less bright so I'm not burning everybody's retinas out. Now, this is one object and in that particular color, and you can see it up here in your sequence. So it is up here. Now, this is where object properties come into play. Now I can show you this panel. This panel will show you all the different fill effects. So you can have a fill or an outline. If you want to toggle it, you go up here to the left and you can change it to an outline, which will allow you to do a single run, triple run, which is kind of like a bean stitch. Sculpture run, motifs is satin stitch, raised satin, which is another fancy way of saying 3D satin. So you can do those big puffy things, blanket stitch, all that. These are really fun to go through and look at. You can change from all different patterns in here if you want to see what they all look like. I admittedly rarely use this, but I hear it's great for quilters who want to do just stitching designs. You can actually just put a quilt down and do it block by block on a larger embroidery area, and it's really neat. So now we've gone back to fill by clicking fill. And we're going to go back over here. Tatami is the traditional fill for an embroidery object, and there are many different designs. Typically, it's about 4 to a type. So this is your tightest, most dense version of the tatami, and then 2, 3, 4, and it just ends up being wider each way. Some of them are wiggly looking like that and really cool. There's some more. The ones I actually tend to use the most of are down here at the bottom. They look like fur and they look really cool to use for like dogs and cats and other cool things. But really just play along with it and see what looks. This is what I mean by the true view. That's this feature up here. If you turn true view off, all you can see is the stitching, which sometimes if I have artwork underneath it, I need to toggle that so I can see the artwork and make sure that I've lined up correctly. But apart from that, not much. Now this is way too big for satin. So you're gonna see, I moved to satin and it's like, whoa, what the heck-a-doodle happened there? That's because this is way too wide. A satin stitch can only be a certain amount of width. Raised satin can do a lot more, but that's because the assumption is that you have something underneath this to help kind of hold and capture those stitches. I don't advise using a lot of that, but satin is good for some of the fills like eyeballs, ears, noses. So if I were to do this, let's say we change this to we'll just go with yellow like sunshine. Oh, well, there we are with the, like blowing everybody's eyeballs out. Now we're going to come in here. We're going to choose a different color and we'll just go with navy. Ta-da. I'll just do an eyeball and you can control C, Control V to copy and paste and put the eyeballs there. Ba-da! Look at that, that's so cool. It's neat. So satin and satin, but you're like, oh no, kittens, they are still so looking weird. Well, we can shrink them like this and continue shrinking them. And maybe don't do that. We'll just do a different shape. Never mind. All right, well, whatever. It was a nice thought. But we can digitize an open shape, meaning it's not closed. These are closed shapes. So that means that one end of the path is touching the other end of the path and it forms a closed line. But let's say I want to do a satin stitch for a smile. So we can just do left click, right click, left click, and hit enter when you're done. Now, if you're wondering, see, now that's a really pretty smile. I like you. You're so pretty. We're so happy. Hello. So if you're wondering, why did I left click and why did I right click here? Well, this uses AutoCAD style technology to interpolate between points to determine if it's supposed to be curved or straight. So basically, if you are going to be doing a hard pivot around an angle, you should probably use left click because that's basically a right turn, or a sharp turn rather. And then if you do right click, then that puts kind of like a squishy point where there's an angle between. So let's see if I can do a different one up here. So, okay, let's say I left click. We're going to left click there, left, 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 hit enter. Do you see how jagged that is? That is from doing left click. Now, if I want, I can do right click, right click, right click, right click, right click. See how it's already curving around? You can see that line. That's from right clicking. So then this is looking really dumb. We're not going to stitch this out. We're not. But let's say I wanted to go around our little happy face here and then bounce off into the sunset. We would do a hard pivot point at the start. And you don't have to like go boom, click, 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 or anything like that because it's interpolating, see? See how the angle is being formed? But before we want to go straight off into the sunset, now we'll do left click and then another left click and hit enter and it'll form it. Now, we had skipped one of the menu items here. One of the other things that you can do is you can go back and you edit. So let's say we want to select this and we're like, I don't really like the way that looks. I would rather have it come down here. You can go and you can reshape. So it means you can grab points and adjust these angles. You can even delete, boom, and that smoothed that out. So we saw we didn't actually need to have another curved point right there. At this point, you can also see, oh, thank you. It's a tutorial that popped up. That was helpful. You can also see that a hard point is a square and a curved point is going to be a circle. So it'll be easier for you to kind of see what's going on there when you're in reshape mode. And if you do middle click, oh, it doesn't work in this? Oh, well, never mind. I was going to say something and I got dumb. But the other things you can do is this is your stop. So that's where the thread will stop stitching. You can change that if you want to. Same thing with the start. Sometimes that's really important. You see how there's a little line going through the head right here? You can actually change the stitch angle. So if we now select the head here and we go and we reshape, you can see there's the stop right there. And then the start's over here. But we're like, why do we do that? We can move that up here like that. We can move it around and experiment with it to get rid of that weird angle, that stitch line, because even though it doesn't, do not show this tip again, oh my goodness, even though it doesn't actually show up too badly when you are in actually stitching it out, it does show a bit, and it really just depends on the thread, your stitching angle, the fabric, all of that. But you can also adjust the stitch angle too, and sometimes that's neat. And that's another thing to talk about, is to have a different stitch angle on the bottom from what you have stitched on top, so that they don't pile up on top of each other. So you want to have the stitching be a little different. But that, again, is a topic for a different day. So this is the basics of hatch embroidery, and you can see, like, we made a really, I don't know what this is, thing. It's art, I guess. I'm not quitting my day job anytime soon, but if anybody else wants to take a stab at making a really awesome, happy looking person thing, this was the video for that. So a few of the things that we will need to go over in a more in-depth tutorial are going to be the theories behind how to accomplish this. So by theories, what I mean is, like, what I was just saying is, like, having your stitch angles be different if you're piling things on top. How many layers can you have in a single embroidery before it starts to get really bad? Because if you think about it, it's all tight stitching that's being piled on top of each other. And some fabrics and some machines even can't handle it past like 2 or 3 layers. So there's ways around that to help reduce bulk. But that's stuff that we have to talk about. The other thing is, like, you kind of have to think in the future. You have to be able to look at the design and know, okay, here's what I need to do first. Typically you start with the background and move with the foreground, like you would do with a painting. It's not much unlike that. But just so you know, you do have to stop and think, okay, how am I going to do this? Like, what needs to be stitched first? How can I best optimize this so that I don't have to change colors back and forth over and over again? What is pull compensation? Things like this, they all kind of go into and play into how you design your embroidery. And I'm really looking forward to going through this, because this is something I love doing, and it has really opened up my business to be able to do a lot of custom stuff that I couldn't do without having software like this. All right, thank you. Like, subscribe, leave comments below if you have questions. That's going to help me with the next video. Bye.